Hello everyone, this is a report intended for the 26th annual ACI Iran chapters competition, more precisely the Ecoconcrete competition in this case. Our 5-digit team code is Tvuaa, and we're participating from Enghelab-e Eslami Technical and Vocational University of Tehran. I'm going to talk a bit quick. I apologize in advance, there's a lot of information to cover and not a lot of time available. The full detailed written report in PDF format has already been sent out to the ACI Iran Chapters Convention in both Farsi and English. I'll also put a Google Drive link in the description for those interested to dive even deeper into this. The very first question that comes to mind is, what is Ecoconcrete? Well, Ecoconcrete is an environmentally friendly version of concrete that aims to reduce damage to the environment, mostly by way of using so-called SCMs, which have a bunch of other benefits, as we have come to discover. We'll get to what SCMs are in a bit, but concrete in and of itself is made up of three key things, that is cement, water, and aggregates. Very briefly, aggregates do the resisting the loads part of the equation, and cement, when mixed with water, acts like a paste that holds these aggregates together. Now, the problem with cement, and let's get more precise now, Portland cement, which is the most common and traditional type of cement around the world, is that it's very environmentally damaging to produce and use. So, how do we fight back? Well, one of the main ways we can mitigate these negative effects is by using SCMs, short for secondary cementitious materials. These are materials that behave like cement and have that binding capability that we're looking for, but are less energy extensive to acquire, and can also provide us with some other benefits too. We measure the benefits our SCMs provide by two ways: an LCA, short for life cycle analysis, and a service life simulation. So, we aim to improve our concrete to contribute less to these parameters. LCA aims at 5 environmental parameters and measures your efficiency in each. Comparing two concrete samples, one very basic and traditional, which uses 100% Portland cement called BCS, and the other, an optimized mix that substitutes 40% of your Portland cement for SCMs, which is called an ACS, standing for alternative case scenario. Then we'll compare these two scenarios to measure our improvement. Now, what did we do? We realized there are two fronts to our work. One is research and the other is software. They also closely complement each other, so you have to work in a parallel way. Now, what have we learned on the research end? Well, Portland cement production is responsible for approximately 8% of global CO2 emissions. As far as aggregates are concerned, because of the production of cement and aggregates can release dust particles and other pollutants into the environment, it can be harmful to plants and animals. Using fly ash and silica fume as substitutes for cement can reduce CO2 emissions by up to 30 and 10% respectively. As far as silica fume is concerned, its production, just like fly ash, does not involve ozone depleting substances, but their transportation can contribute to ozone depletion indirectly. Slag is the third usable SCM option in this competition, but in our case the use of slag was abandoned, as you can see down here, because it was not more environmentally efficient than fly ash and silica fume, and there were no parameters in the regulations that would justify its use. Now onto the software side. By using the maximum amount of silica fume in Life 365 software, we saw a significant increase in our service life, so much so our concrete sample even exceeds the span specified by the regulation, which is 100 years. Our first experiment and excitement didn't last long when we transferred our 100-year lasting concrete over to the Excel tool and found out that it was just 2.7% more environmentally friendly. What ended up happening is that even though we were able to increase our service life by a century, we took a major hit in two parameters, and our concrete ended up more carcinogenic and ecotoxic. As you can see here, total impact reduction is just under 3%, and we quickly learned that we must find a middle ground so that we can have benefits in both departments. All this makes you question, how do these improvement mechanics actually work? To start, silica fume, which is much less carcinogenic than Portland cement, still negatively affects the parameter in the LCA analysis. Fly ash is almost better in every environmental regard, but it could never supply us with the massive boost in service life that silica fume does. Also, as it can be seen, even as an SCM, silica fume is much more ecotoxic than Portland cement, proving the point that more necessarily does not equate to better, and a balance should be constantly kept. This is a graphical representation of the most notable mix designs we came up with. As you can see, starting from the right side, we were able to design mixtures that were almost 26% more eco-friendly, while also doubling our service life when compared to the base case scenario. After numerous experiments, we were able to bump our impact reduction to just over 15% and our service life up to 47.5 years. This is the final mix design that we came up with, and in our mix we tried to strike a balance between using the least damaging materials while increasing the service life as much as possible. We did this because increasing our service life was more doable than reducing our environmental impact. And since the scoring multiplier for both parameters is equal, there is also a favor towards service life in case of a tie. We decided to design our mix this way. These are also where all of the materials are supplied from, We used the most accurate data that was supplied by visiting numerous suppliers' websites and choosing the most relevant ones. This is also the simulation results from the Life 365 software. Initiation for corrosion takes 41.5 years to start, and the entire service life is 47.5 years. Another very cool feature that this software has is its two depictions of 1. Chloride concentrations at a given depth at time of initiation, which is 41.5 years, the graph on the left. 2. The chloride concentration in a given year at 50 millimeters depth, the graph on the right. This is our final mix design in the Excel LCA tool. As you can see, we balanced out the negative effects, leaving us with a service life improvement of 47.5 years and an impact reduction of 15.1. Now, to wrap things up, we would like to thank the ACI Iran chapter for making this competition possible. Using software for this type of simulation is really unmatched, as pointed out in the written report and also here. You really can't measure and learn about green concrete and environmental impacts by just making a concrete sample. You can, but you'd have to wait 47.5 years in our case to really see the difference and to wait for the rebar to corrode. Another misconception that we had was that just since SCMs are less environmentally demanding than cement, why don't we just use more and more SCM? Well, we saw the effects of this in both of these software and tools, which can be really summed up into the term, more does not equal better. In the end, getting to know a functional software such as Life 365 provided the simulation option for our future projects, especially in areas exposed to chloride attack, to predict mixing more accurately, design our mixes, and even incentivize us to find and develop similar software for concrete mix design. Right now, the most that we could find as far as software assisting in mix design is concerned are some basic online tools that are helpful, but far from complete. We're determined to change the state of affairs going forward. And that's it. I would like to thank my teammate Alireza Amir Ahmadi for the numerous articles and abstracts he provided during the course of this competition, and I would also like to thank our professor and advisor, Dr. Reza Mohammadi, for his helpful guides. And last but not least, I would like to thank you for your attention. Have a nice one.